working on it.
Yeah, she's working on trying to get in.
Okay.
Okay, everyone, it is 5:51 p.m. Unfortunately, we're starting the meeting late, but this is the Youth and Outreach Committee meeting of the Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council. Welcome, everyone. Guess we can start by taking roll and we'll drag that out. John Barbera, are you present?
I think I am.
Okay, and Lori Jacobs,
Here,
Angela Sumner,
Here.
and Adrianita Reyes Cruz.
I am here. Sorry, can I say something really quick?
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Oh, can I say something really quick?
Actually, having
Oh.
taken roll, then yes, we can go on to public comment on non-agenda items. You have.
Oh, okay. If I may be excused 30 minutes early, first I was going to have a lot of work and I have work today.
Sure, and I understand, and we'll get the
Yeah.
more pressing stuff out of the way right up front. Would anyone else like to make a public comment on a non-agenda item? Yes.
I have a comment on a non-agenda item.
Sure.
I was wondering if we were still going to talk about having a fall movie night because it is August, and if we wanted to do something for, say, October, we would have to kind of start thinking about that.
You're right, and so it's not agendized for this month, but we can start based on what we used for last time. We can start preparing it. I'll get it on the agenda for the next meeting. If we were to request, is there a way for us to go to budget and finance and start talking about money before we have it on our agenda as a committee, or do we have to vote on having it here first?
it has to be on your agenda first.
It has to
So
be
we can-
here. Yeah.
All right, well, then we'll just make sure for next month, we'll have it.
Let's see, if we do September, might not give us enough time for October.
It doesn't, you don't have enough time to do it for October.
Huh?
You do not have enough time to do an October movie night.
Yeah, we'd have to do it in November. We have to have at least a couple of 2-3.
Even that's pushing it.
Is it? Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
All right, is there any other public comment on non-agenda items?
Kelly's having a hard time. She says it's not. Right now, they're all the same number and it says it's expired.
Have her just call in.
If she goes right to the NW, if she goes right to the homepage, and clicks on the, right under where it says agenda, it says, please join the virtual Zoom webinar. I think that's the correct link.
Okay,
So don't click on anything else, just stop at the first thing.
yeah, well,
I'll make in the meantime, I'll make a public comment on a non-agenda item. There seems to be an increase in petty and street crimes located in the Averill/Vista del Oro neighborhood between 7th and 9th Streets, Walker and Patton. So lock your doors, invest in wireless security cameras, park in front of your house if you can. And as per usual, trying to call the non-emergency line for LAPD is probably the least productive way to spend your time on it. Oh, I see another participant. And there's Kelly. Gotcha. All right, there she is. All right, everyone. So where's my agenda? There we go. All right, item 3 would be the review of the application for the youth board seat. Does everyone have access to that document, or should I share it from here?
You should probably share it.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to share. Hi, Kelly.
I don't know why I'm having such problems at getting in as panelists and everything. I get the emails, I go in the way it says and everything. This one, even off the agenda, it was a wrong number and stuff.
The agenda had the wrong link, Kelly. It wasn't you. But you're here now, and that's all that's important.
All right, can everyone see that?
Can you make
Yes.
it larger so that the visually impaired can read it?
Yes, like so?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
Do you want me to share on this since I created it?
Yeah, I was just about to ask you to do that.
So basically, I took the form from last year. Okay. And I had applications must be postmarked by September 23rd. And hang on, let me grab my calendar to tell you why I picked that date. September. Okay. So our next youth and outreach meeting actually is sort of a problem because it's on the 26th, which is the first night of Rosh Hashanah.
Ooh.
Not a problem for me because I'm not religious, but you normally are supposed to avoid that date. But let's say we keep the meeting there. I had that applications needed to be in by the Friday before. Okay. But that's probably cutting it close because we want to be able to interview people on the meeting on the 26th. So maybe that date, let me grab my notepad, should be earlier, because we want to interview people, right, at the September meeting. So what day, instead of September 23rd, do you want me to make it like September 21st just to allow for anything?
That would be, yeah, I think a couple more days could be useful.
Does everybody else agree that maybe the 21st? Now, the only hiccup you may have if you leave the meeting on the 26th, okay, is if you have any Jewish applicants.
Yeah, I don't think that's a great idea to have it on Rosh Hashanah.
I don't either.
I feel like it's well, I don't need to elaborate. I don't think that's a great idea.
Well, I have not yet obviously submitted an agenda for that meeting. So what would we, well,
I think I'm available on the Tuesday, the next day, the 27th. Well, technically that's the second night of Rosh Hashanah, but it's not as religious.
right, okay, so if we were to move it back one day,
Or you mean ahead
Honest-
one day?
Even
Yeah.
from a non-religious perspective, LAUSD doesn't have school that day. Families might do something with the weekends.
Okay, so do you think Tuesday, the 27th would work?
It would work for me.
I'm sorry,
I
I'm
know
looking
how-
at August, that's why I have the wrong, okay.
Oh, okay. We're in September. We're talking about September.
Yes, so actually, well, I've got, I think the 28th would be better for me. We've got volleyball on the 27th and 29th.
Okay, let me go to the NWSPNC and make sure that this is not in conflict.
Oh, right.
I'm not available on Wednesdays, but obviously it can go on without me if it needs to.
Well, we need as many people as possible if we're interviewing candidates. Okay, the calendar is not popping up. I've had this problem with the website recently that the calendar doesn't pop up like it used to as quickly.
Yeah, there's someone for something going on the 27th and the 28th. The
Of
27th,
September.
there's the
Yeah.
community issues, and then the 28th, there's the joint planning. So,
Excuse me, guys.
Okay,
Chris, let Thomas in. He's the panelist.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, it went to co-host to you and it took me out, so.
Where's, oh, participants, very good.
The other thing I suppose we could do is keep it the 26th, but offer like a backup interview by a
no, you're right. We should not have a meeting on one of the high holy days.
yeah.
And like you
It
said,
looks disrespectful.
Yeah,
It may
it,
not,
it would.
it may not be, but it looks disrespectful.
And you might
Mhm.
have one particular board member who will go ballistic, who shall remain unnamed. So, I mean, could we make it earlier? Can we make it the week before, like, I
Um,
don't-
we, sorry, I'm shuffling screens here. September, we could have it, yeah, Tuesdays and Thursdays are gonna be bad for me. The 19th is the Peck Park ad hoc.
but you know what, if we do it on the 19th, we don't have enough time. We only have like 2 or 3 weeks to
Yeah.
have the application floating out there.
Or we could
Why not?
move it back. We could have a meeting Friday, the 30th.
We don't have meetings on Fridays.
And why is that?
There's some people who think that's Shabbat.
So I mean, I'll say this at the risk of sounding insensitive, but how much of the nominally government work should accommodate single particular religion?
I'm only sharing that this has come up with other neighborhood councils, and one of our board members was one of the people complaining. Now, he's not part of this committee.
Yeah.
So I'm just sharing information.
I understand.
Doesn't bother me.
Well, I mean, I would like to have as many of us here as possible. I mean, are weekend meetings out of the question? Sunday, the 25th?
I have no life, so there's no
I
problem for
go to
me.
church that day and I have family things.
Yeah,
And if it's a holiday weekend on Monday, I'm going out of town.
Okay.
yeah.
I'm
So
gonna be
that's,
honest, I'm going out of town. So I think that the following week, that 30th would be fine. I mean, I don't see why we can't do it on a Friday. Because it is a holiday and
We've already accommodated, and again, at high holidays, I understand if it's a particularly, significant,
right.
but in which case I would think the following Friday would be relatively less.
I'm okay with it. I'm gonna only ask you, Chris, if our group votes on it, that you run it by Ray, so that if there's any pushback, that our president will back us up.
All right, so let's say this, and we'll ask, if we're in agreement, we will look at scheduling a meeting on Friday, September 30th.
At 5:30?
At 5:30 instead of on the 26th.
Okay,
If for some reason our board president thinks that there's a problem, would people be otherwise all right with 5:30 on the 28th, that Wednesday?
You mean the 30th?
Well,
no, you mean, no, the
first-
I have
28th.
my union meeting that day. The last Wednesdays of the month is UTLA meetings. So I wouldn't be able to do it the Wednesday, but Fridays are fine with me.
What about the following Monday on the 3rd, October 3rd?
That's the
I mean,
night.
is our backup plan.
That's
So for-
the executive committee meets at 6 that day. So if we were to do
Oh,
if you were to do it at 5 p.m. on, well, we would probably need more
No,
time than average
no,
if you're interviewing
yeah.
people, right?
yeah, no, that would not work. Well, so our first choice is Friday, September 30th at 5:30. And let's just find out from Ray, because doesn't seem to be a good second choice where we can get most of us there. If we do that, I can leave the application deadline as September 23rd then, right?
Yeah, that would be fine. That's a week out.
Okay, so, wow, I just was gonna go over the application, but then we got into the meeting
Well,
date.
I mean,
Okay, so, so
If-
back to the application. I
Sure.
didn't change any of the wording. Are you interested in working with city officials to protect and progress the best interests of the community of San Pedro, et cetera, et cetera? Okay, eligible candidates must be 14 years and no more than 17 on the day of the selection. Now, we don't have the date of the selection, okay? I don't even, I guess the selection is the date of the next meeting. That's September 30th date.
So would we want to change it in the application or just put TBD or announce it separately?
No, what I'm saying is, first of all, I don't even know why it says on the day of the selection, because people would read this and go, well, what is the selection?
Right.
So maybe it's on the day of the interview, or is it the day they're appointed? What the heck is that supposed to mean? I don't even remember.
I would read it as the day they're appointed. So we review their interviews and then does the whole council vote? Is
Oh.
that how it works?
Yes.
Well, yes. So what will usually happen, Angela, since you're newer at this, is we will interview all the people. It's really a horrible process because, and Adrianita knows, she's been there, is we have to interview everybody in front of each other. Okay. And then we actually vote at the meeting. Okay. And whoever we pick, when we go to the board, we don't bring all the candidates. We just say the Youth and Outreach Committee has interviewed and selected the following candidate. That candidate can be there at the meeting to, introduce themselves. And the board has always just solidified that and said, okay.
That's what I think we should use as a selection date. And for communication, we should list the date of that stakeholder meeting.
Okay, and there's our second issue, because
That would
I
be the
already
second,
called
right?
Ray yesterday, and the October board meeting falls on Indigenous People Day. So what I'm proposing, he doesn't know yet what he's gonna do, this is just a real cluster, I know, is say, on the day of the October board meeting, date to be confirmed. And that's the best I can do.
Oh, that's fine, and that'll be relatively easy for, then they can just circle back to the website and find out. what
Right.
it is.
Right. So, because Ray doesn't know yet what he's gonna do, because this is now a national holiday, you can't do that. So I'll change that to say, October board meeting and just say date to be confirmed. Because I don't know if he's gonna do it that week. Okay.
Okay,
And then we have the standard to verify you live or work within San Pedro, go to blah, blah, blah. Let's see, the youth member will be required to complete an online ethics training and code of conduct. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's all they need now is still ethics and code of conduct because they're too young to do the financial training. Okay. It says you'll also be required to attend 2 monthly meetings, one of which is the board meeting. The second, which this is a little controversial, okay, they can attend any committee meeting, okay. We just highly recommend that they go to the youth and outreach.
Right.
Okay, so I've had pushback from people on that saying you can't make them go to that committee meeting, but why would you want to be a youth representative and not go?
yeah,
to
well,
the youth?
and let me ask you about that, Lloyd. So is it in terms of bylaws that we have, I guess what I'm asking is it technically legal for us to require that? Is it something that could be written into the rules if we wanted it, or is that just?
Are you asking the fact that they have to attend 2 meetings or the fact that I'm listing youth and outreach? Which
Well,
is,
I mean, would it be possible, just in theory, for us to either insist on or put into the rules that you'd have to be a member of this committee? And
we'd have to go change the, I don't have the standing rules in front of me,
but it would
Okay.
require something like that.
but I'm pretty sure that it says that the youth rep, Adrianita, do you remember?
About
If like when you were first appointed the youth rep, way back when you were just a little kid, were you required to attend a board meeting and a committee meeting and, or was it specified you had to go to youth and outreach?
no, it wasn't specified that I had to go to youth and outreach.
Okay, and that's how we have it. We say Youth and Outreach Committee on the 4th Monday, which I have to change that. No, I did change that. That is correct. Okay. Of each month at 5:30 or join another committee.
Okay, and I was more just curious, but yeah,
I'm pretty sure it was in the standing rules, the way that Diana wrote it. So
okay,
we'll worry about that, when we get some candidates. Then of course you can join others. The term of your commitment is 1 year. Okay. And then you can apply online and I have to create the, unless anybody wants to learn how to do this, but I have to create the Google Docs registration, Google Docs.
Is it,
Or we could just have them email us, it's,
oh, so we do have, well, we could maybe turn this into
Wait.
a fillable PDF, or would that be just too much work for what it gives us?
well, can you scroll back up? Okay, stop right there for a sec. Let me see. Apply online. Yeah, well, I guess we had the application online. I could make this a fillable PDF, I think. Make application. I think that would be so much better that they could just do that.
Yeah, it would be easier. In terms of convenience, asking people to write something longhand and mail
Okay.
it in is almost a guarantee they're not going to do it.
Okay, and then so scroll down again. So now there's their address, their birth date, all that. Okay. Please tell us why you would like to be on the board, and do you have a particular issue you'd like to address? I think if I make it fillable, they should be able to have room to do this. So once we approve this, I normally try to get this going right away. I told you I still have work to do tonight, and I'm working an all-day event tomorrow, but I don't think we have to wait for the board. I believe once we approve this, we can post this. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, I
Chris?
don't think, this would be an internal committee issue. So if you want, because I actually probably have Acrobat open right now, I could just scan this thing in. Would it just be a matter of giving it to Christina and asking her to post it?
No, I already have it saved as a
Oh, okay.
PDF rather than you scanning it. So it's just been a while since I made a fillable PDF. So I'll make this a priority. Okay.
All
If
right.
I can't get it done tonight, I'll get it done Wednesday before work. Okay. It's
Yeah,
just,
or
I have to,
And I'll probably have time probably tomorrow or the day after.
Okay.
Don't, let me know and I can go after it.
so, but let me ask, so I basically kept this the same. Okay. Does anybody have any suggestions of changes? Can we just keep it like this?
Well, I'm just anticipating what youth who might be having a birthday and need a more clear must be 17 by a specific date.
Well, I'm more concerned about somebody turning 18 before a specific date. I think,
Or whatever
if
the
they're,
cutoff was.
yeah, I think if they're 17, and I hate that they forced us into this change anyway. This is ridiculous. I'm just, how about you guys? But I'm not looking for a 14-year-old. And I
Right.
liked it before it was 17 to 20,
Yeah.
24 or something. So
Mhm.
somebody could continue for a couple years and really get some experience. But it is what it is. The Raquel Beltran forced this issue on us. So I think the outreach is the other important part of this. I think one of the first things I want to do is go to the Rotarian interactors, because they have so many youth involved, and the Assistance League assistines.
Mhm.
The trick is not all those people are in the eligible area.
Oh, right.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
But I mean, if you talk to them, they might be interested in their neighborhood council, if you let them know.
they
of
don't
the
have youth reps. We're the only San Pedro Neighborhood Council that has a youth rep.
Oh, wow, I
Oh,
didn't know
really?
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all of them do.
Oh,
Hey,
that's
John,
sad.
Chris, can you scroll back up to the top, or whoever's scrolling? Because I want to see on the qualifications if it says they need to live. Okay, stop. Let's see. 14, okay, on the day they live, attend school, or work in Northwest. Okay, so San Pedro High School by a couple of blocks is not in Northwest. So there's not really much in the way of school. So we really need somebody who lives or possibly has a job in Northwest. So it's limiting, but there's a lot of great youth in both of those groups I just mentioned. We'd send it to the Boys and Girls Club. Okay.
The Assistance League does have.
Right, they do. I guess, yes, and if they're involved with the Assistance League, that is in Northwest, so that's great. But I just have two schools of thought I'll share with you on that. If somebody's already involved with the Rotary or the Assistance League, they're already being of service and doing community work. I'd like to see us get somebody who isn't already doing that, because the people who are already doing community service, they're still going to school and they've got a heavy load to be involved in something else. And we want to get, new blood in here. So that's one concern. I forgot what my other point was because I had a senior moment. So,
I thought for those membership groups, Lori, is like the officers get overscheduled, but there's often a lot of willing folks too, that this could be a nice leadership for,
Yeah.
second year, third year, that's not an officer, is doing things, but has some leadership potential.
okay, no, that's great. And honestly, I just like to make it available to as many people as possible. And
Definitely.
I'll tell you what does get frustrating, and this is a terrible thing, but if we have too many applicants, okay, we have to interview and ask the same question to each applicant, and then our job becomes so tough. It's so
Gonna
tough
step
to
away for
vote.
just a second. Please continue. I can hear you, and I'll keep recording. But I'll be right
Okay. It's so tough to vote for youth while they're there in person. They're all working so hard and to apply, and it's hard in a quick interview to even know who the best candidate is. So I honestly really don't like this process. So I always hope we get like just one really good candidate. I mean, we got lucky last time. Alec was the only one, and we already had a track record with him, so we felt comfortable. When Adrianita interviewed, there was 3 other people. They were all great candidates, and Thomas knows because he knows one of them. It was a friend of Alex. So I'm just real sensitive to this process, but we have no choice. So I will get the application once I have it finished and unloaded up. We'll announce it on our website. We'll put it on social media. We'll send it specifically to somebody. John can give me the contact for the assistings. I don't know if that's Gwen Rohar or her daughter. And
No,
Thomas,
it's another
obviously.
it's actually,
Well, you don't need to
another
tell me now.
there
You don't need to tell me
yeah.
now. I just need the email. And then my roommate certainly has information to whoever's in charge of the interactors with the Rotary, as well as Thomas. And then I'll send it to Boys and Girls Club. I think that's enough outreach, unless anybody, sometimes I send it to the high schools too, but honestly, San Pedro High School, its school itself's not in our area, but a lot of the students live in our area.
That's a lot of outreach, I think. I think 3 big groups, and then if we know anyone else, encourage them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'll call Diana name too, because we've done really well. She's had 3 of her neighbors, the Zaror kids, that have been excellent. And I think there was one up and coming. She told me there was another one, because we've had Daisy. Oh God, I can't even remember them now, but they were all really great youth reps for us. So, all right. So my job is,
Guy and somebody else.
what was that?
Guy was one of them.
What was his name?
It was
No, Joe. His name was Joe.
he was before my time, but then wasn't it Sky Zarur?
Guy, yes. Guy, Aurora, Daisy, and Joe. Angela, they live around the corner from you. I don't know if you know them.
I think I know which house you're talking about. We have our block party next weekend, so.
Yeah. So I'll check with that. So, I mean, we want another great engaged, person. We were very fortunate with Adrianita, with Alec. We've had one that was not so good. So I'll leave it at that. That's it. So I've got my job so I just want to reconfirm, I'm going to leave the postmark date as September 23rd. I'm going to add a comment under eligible candidates and say, and let's see, must be 14 years and no more than 17 years at age, and say on the day of the, I'll say appointment instead of selection. Does that sound better?
Yeah.
Okay, appointment. Okay, date to be advised. What
You
we
could just
don't,
say by October 1st. Because the meeting's gonna, well,
I'll say around the second week of October or something, but
Yeah.
I don't say when we're interviewing them. And so that needs to be on here too. I don't see that.
and we would need the meeting date. So what I'll do is I'll talk to Ray after we're done here. And if
Okay.
I can, if we can go ahead with the 30th, then I can give you that information, Lori, so that you can then update it. That'll be locked in when the form goes out.
Okay, and this person will have to be available, all candidates, to interview on the 30th. Okay. All right, I think I know what I need to do. Chris, I'll make the changes. I'll work on making this a fillable PDF. Well, I don't really need to make it a fillable PDF. I'm sorry. I just woke up. If it's on the Google Docs, they enter the information in there and it populates on a spreadsheet. They don't actually fill out this form. In fact, I don't know what we were thinking. I guess the only way they'd have to fill out this form is if they weren't doing this online.
Oh, yeah.
Go to the second page. Let's
We-
rethink this. We're in a technical world here. So they don't need to complete that form because that's what they're going to complete on the online registration. And there's a space for them to tell us why that's how we've done it the last couple of years. I don't even know why this second page is here.
Well, then we could lose it because if they're not able to get online, then they wouldn't have seen any of this in the first place.
Is that kind of a problem if they don't have the ability to at least fill out an application online? How are they going to be able to go to virtual meetings, open agendas? I don't want to be biased that
Well,
they, have.
It is a problem in general for our catchment area. These would all theoretically be LAUSD students who all theoretically have access to devices either at school or in order to take home. So it's not entirely exclusive. It would be easier for some people than others, but that also applies to a bunch of things. So I think there's there's a pathway through to them having online access if they are of school age, at least.
I think my opinion is that it needs to be mandatory, and I will change this form to say applications are online and we don't even offer the ability for them to do a handwritten one, because then they have to mail it in. We have to go to the PO box and whatever. It's really a very simple form. And if they don't, I understand the low economic and the digital divide, but if they're in school, they have access to a computer or a library or something.
Right.
And honestly, they're not going to really hear about this if they're not online.
Exactly. Well, and if they were appointed to the board, then they would have to be online to attend the
That's
meeting.
what I'm saying. So does anybody object to me removing the second page and just, making this strictly online registration or
No.
application?
No,
I'm-
go for it.
Okay. I don't know. I would have figured this out later. I'm glad
All our
Right.
unified kids have access to a device, and they were just sent something home today that if they needed a device, and they have access to the internet.
Thank you, Kelly. And this will simplify things. So Chris, I will share the Google Doc link.
I'm at
to
a
you.
family birthday party, so I don't want to eat in anybody's face. That's why I'm off camera.
That's okay.
Enjoy.
Yeah. So I'll make sure that I share the link with you, so I'm not the only one who sees the responses.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
No problem. It sounds like a plan.
But I'm gonna get this set up, assuming that we're gonna have the meeting on Friday, September 30th. And we won't actually post this until we get it blessed by the chief.
And you know what? Since I can, since I watch and have one eye on the phone anyway, let me text Ray right now, and maybe he can get back to us with something before the end of this, just so we'll know which direction we're going.
Okay, so basically you're just asking him if we can move the meeting to a Friday to
Yeah.
avoid the Jewish holiday that's on the Monday.
Yes.
Okay. Sounds good, kids.
Stand by for a moment, please.
And I eventually need to wean myself off of this, and somebody else, I'll teach John how to do all this. So,
Yeah, John doesn't have enough.
yeah. Well, somebody, it's really not that difficult. It's just, I think I already have it set up, so it's easier just to update it.
How many N's in Rosh Hashanah? One or two?
Don't worry about it. There's like 5 or 6 different ways to spell it. Doesn't your spell check correct it or something?
Oh, you know what? Actually, it did.
Say Jewish high holiday. You can.
I forgot I left the H off the end. Okay.
Okay.
That week, let's see. So I'm asking, can we move Wino meeting to Friday the 30th to avoid Rosh Hashanah that week? And that's it. And send. Okay, we'll see if he's eating dinner or not. Okay, so I think we have a good, looks good going forward.
Yeah, I also told Melanie that she's got the Budget and Finance Committee on Yom Kippur, and she was gonna keep it there, and I'm like, that's the highest holy day of the year, you know, but not my call. I just, you cannot do that. It's a day
Yeah,
of atonement.
you know, and most of the time.
When
it's-
LA Unified takes it off, you have to take it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Understood.
You know, I have a lot of atoning to do too, so.
I'm still front loading all of my misbehavior, and I'll get back to it later on.
Okay, well, at least I only have to do this once a year, so.
All right, so item number 4, and this is relatively brief. I know people have got places to go and things to do, but there is sort of an update on in terms of our concept for PSAs, or basically some visually based outreach materials. Angela, to get you up to speed, you were out last month, right?
Yes, she was on vacation.
Right.
Oh, yes. I was trying to remember.
Yeah, we more or less formalized the idea of not so much a shift, but supplementing the publication that we do with the newsletters into more frequent, more timely visual content. So either short videos or even, you know, infographics and things like that, but things that we can kind of respond to something quickly in the community and turn it around, you know, a week or less, maybe even a day. But because I have access to all this hardware, that for me, the idea of producing short PSAs, short videos about, you know, stopping at stop signs or picking up after your dog or lock your doors, are things that we could kind of do in-house that allow us to keep those channels more active in terms of putting stuff in social media for people to attend to. And then also hopefully making the kind of work we do in the community a little bit more attractive. That is, if you're telling people, we want you to engage with the government, we want you to take responsibility, you know, that's a little dry and boring. If we tell people that we, you know, put on fun events and we produce videos, we do that sort of thing, it might inspire people to kind of see a more interesting way to be kind of civic minded and a little bit of public service. You know, and it's just basically more high tempo and a little looks like a little bit more fun. So it hasn't moved forward much more, other than I did get feedback right after I mentioned this at the last board and stakeholder meeting. Octaviano, our neighborhood, our Dunn representative, reached out to me to basically say that they wish to, you know, oversee and interfere with, paraphrasing, that him doing his job, voicing his concern that we not say or do anything that they don't want us to say or do, and implying, I don't remember exactly how explicitly he said so, but essentially kind of wanting us to run things past for their stamp of approval before we put anything out there. I'm going to go back over that and possibly reach out to, I think he might have given me reference to somebody at city attorney, but I don't think there's really any more potential liability or issue than there would have been with us doing something in print. We're going to have a short script. This is going to be like a half a page or a page. It's actually less oversight, less editorial leeway than for the newsletter. And, you know, if we get in trouble, I'd rather get in trouble after the fact. If we get in the habit of getting it cleared with them, then we won't really be able to say that the sky is blue. And the concept for these is to really be informational and factual. So it's not, you know, we're not going to say that, you know, cats are better than dogs or whatever, even though they clearly are. We're just going to try and repeat some more conventional wisdom, some kind of stuff that's already out there, and put it in, you know, kind of a familiar neighborhood face, put it in the context of Northwest, and then do it in a way that's a little more engaging than simply, you know, a static graphic. So that's kind of where we are.
I agree. Ask forgiveness, not permission. They don't get to micromanage everything a neighborhood council does. And it's just an extension of the outreach, social media, newsletter, everything else. If it's, you know, that, so I don't know. So it's Octaviano that was saying we needed to run it by people?
Well, and I brought it up in the report at the board meeting, and you know, I'm sure that's the type of thing he's tasked with keeping an eye out on. And you know, the idea is that I'm sure out of the 99 neighborhood councils, somebody's going to say something, you know, kind of off kilter. And so it was kind of a heads up. I know that we're not going to go out on a limb. We're not going to, take a stance on things. And if and when we get in trouble for that, we can dial it back. But I don't want to preemptively get in the habit of having to run it through them. It'll take forever. We'll never get,
They have been unable to codify the digital media policy. It has bounced back and forth in the Board of Neighborhood Commissioners for almost a year now, back and forth to neighborhood councils. A lot of pushback from NCs because they don't want to be micromanaged. We know what we're allowed to do, what we're not allowed to do. And so if I may suggest, when you do your report for this meeting, just mention we're discussing topics for PSAs,
Yeah.
and don't go into any detail at the board meeting. When we're ready to launch one, then they can say something.
Yeah. And I've come to the perception, the conclusion, and maybe not the conclusion, but at this point, my perception is that if you are willing to follow the rules, then they will mess with you more. For the people who are stepping out and really exceeding their very limited remit, they don't seem to be willing to go after them. Like, people can misbehave pretty egregiously and kind of sit there and grin. If you are like, if you stop at a stop sign, then they have you. If you blow through it, they're not going to chase you. So, I have every intention of stopping and being a responsible a content creator. And, they can bring it up to us later if they wish to, but, I understand that that's his job to make sure we kind of, keep a lid on it, and that's fine.
But I'm just saying, just keep a lid on it at the board.
Yeah.
meeting.
Yeah, we don't need to go into too much detail. We're not going to give them anything to worry about anyway. So talking about us not doing that is just a waste of time. Which again wraps into, I guess, which would then, unless you guys have any other questions, comments, input on that issue for item number 4.
Just wondering, is everybody in agreement with we don't need to run this by done before we create one?
I think if we all come through it with the understanding that we're going to be responsible purveyors of information, then yeah, I don't like the idea of us being like rebels, but I think we all agree that we want to provide solid information that's not going to,
right. Which is what
clash
we
with any of the values of the council.
Yeah, we're really just looking for a more responsive version of what we've been doing with the newsletters and the e-blast that just, is visually more engaging and takes less time to produce. That's it, and
Right.
there's nothing that we wouldn't have put in an e-blast or the newsletter is going to be in these things other than some moving pictures maybe. So,
Chris,
Then,
can I throw
I'm in
a
agreement.
topic for consideration in there for a
Absolutely.
PSA production?
yes, please.
Voter registration, especially focusing on youth. I don't know when the deadline is to register to vote for the November election. It's probably sometimes in October. So I don't know if you have time to do something, but that seems like a very responsible, timely topic. Does anybody else agree?
I think that's, that's a perfect example of how we can be entirely factual, and, us advocating for getting registered to vote is, I hope they object to that.
Right.
Just for the sake of a good fight. But
So
no, I think
who can put that together then, Chris? Do you want to assign that to a couple of people and they can start to write a script and let's get rolling?
well, if someone would like to, I'm willing to take volunteers now. If not, I will do a kind of a outline and bounce it back at the next meeting. But if someone else would like to start on that, I'd entertain volunteers.
Lori, are you volunteering?
No, I'm not, because I
This
think
is
you should
already,
do it, Angela.
Who's already tap dancing backwards.
No, because I think that I'm already like involved with too much. I want to spread the opportunities, and I'm not being like goofy. I'm serious that, give a whack. What, Angela, you've got a daughter that's a couple years away from registering to vote. Thomas, you've got registered, kids that are around that age bracket. Do we want this message geared towards youth or just anybody?
Well, I mean, I think we can make a particular emphasis towards, young and future voters, but also, broaden that with the message that says, this isn't just for young people. I'll tell you what, if nobody has a particular idea or interest right now, what I'll do is kind of a not exactly a storyboard with pictures, but I'll come up with a kind of a description of that. I'll email it out, and then if people have, if it sparks interest, or if you have an idea, I'll send something out. And I guess what I'm thinking is probably 30 seconds to 1 minute at this point. But maybe a talking head, maybe walking and talking in front of some of our, I'm assuming we'll have the same polling places as last round. Adjournment, go ahead.
Oh, I didn't want to interrupt, but I have to go.
Oh,
Okay.
Good luck getting your work done.
That's a
All
good.
right, homework first.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Adjournita. Chris, I appreciate you stepping up, but I'd still love to see some other people jump in. But also, we do have the opportunity of having some electeds in San Pedro. So if you had a script, and maybe, Mrs. Congressmember Barragon's in town, Janice Hahn, I don't know if you want that, or you just want your
That's a
average
fantastic idea. In fact,
neighborhood council people to, or a little bit of both.
well, I know the communications people for our, local electeds, Branimir and people at the
Sean.
Han's office. So I can talk to Liz and Branimir and see if any of them might, again, it would be simply a matter of grabbing like literally about a minute or two of the.
Can I talk to you about that? Because I'd rather avoid Branimir, okay?
Well,
There's
mean,
a lot of controversy there. I'd rather avoid that. I'd like it with
well, it doesn't
somebody.
have to be him, but I'm saying him or someone like him, because I also know Congresswoman Barragon's guy as well.
Right, but Sean is great. And then also
Liam?
from Janice Hahn. What were you gonna say, Thomas?
Oh, I was saying Liam, isn't Liam one of the contacts with Barragon? I was just talking to him Sunday.
Sean is the key person.
Okay.
But you know what? Araceli just left to go to law school, so I don't know who the new person is they were hiring to replace her. So what's the name? Liam?
Liam's the chief of staff.
Oh, okay. But for the general office or for the San Pedro office?
Oh, I don't know. So I've got his card here.
Yeah.
Oh, for DC. I guess, yeah, because
Yeah, that's the DC person, but Sean is our local person who comes to a lot of things. I'll probably see him tomorrow at this event that Barragon's running that I'm working. But it was just an idea, Chris, but I don't mean to put pressure on you, but if you're going to do this, are you going to commit to a date that you'd have this script done by?
Well, the script is pretty.
The syllabus, the framework, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's storyboard essentially what you want with a shot list, but that's relatively easy. I mean, I could probably, considering I think we know what we want to say, I could do that this evening and send out an email that's kind of as a draft if people wanted to punch it up. But it's really more once we have the bullet points. And once we know who will be speaking, because they could, we could have Ray do it, or we could, or whatever.
Yeah.
Then I would want to have some buy-in and have some of the message be theirs. So, we would say, we'd like to talk about X, Y, and Z and have your take on that, and so whoever it is we're talking to, they would add to that. But essentially just the importance of registering to vote, how you have a historical influence, and make a vague reference to current events and things like that, so that
But
people
you need to first make a list of the who, what, where, and what. Okay, how do you register? Who's eligible to register? What's the deadline date to register to be able to still vote in the November 8th election? Those important things need to be in there. Besides you need to be, have your voice heard as a voting person, and you definitely want to get some younger people there to pass the message of why. We're not going to talk about any particular politicians or party they need to register for or anything like that, but they need to know how, can you register online? Do you need to, it used to be you had to be register in person with somebody, but I think you can now do it online. And another thing is to say voting has never been easier before. Every California registered voter gets a ballot nailed to them.
Yeah,
those kind of things.
Yeah, that's something I'm probably thinking of as some motion graphics at the end of it, like like sliding bullet points where register, like website, phone number, although there's no phone number, stuff like that, and some things that if they want to, like essentially there will be the text there as kind of to reinforce that. And now also, and if this is going to go into Instagram and Facebook, we can have those links on like we'll have link in bio that'll go back to the website, or we can have it in the text of the description or the caption of the video.
Yeah, my 2 cents is I really like the idea. I'm hesitant to volunteer to do a lot, seeing I'm trying to learn how to chair my first committee and get all that going. But I'm volunteering to do a little, to do something, review scripts or on the day you're doing it. I like the idea of a diversity of voices. I really like Baragon. I think she's very pleasant. I think it sends a message, right? You can start out at neighborhood council, and work your way into the halls of Congress. So if she's amenable, I like her as a focused elected. I like, a council member level, different members there, I think would be neat. But then I also want neighborhood council members too, the mix, gender background, I think, really has a message. And something of Lori's I really want to stress, I'm looking the ABC, then what do you do, right? Because everybody knows you should vote, but then what website you go to, or your point you made, Chris, about we get the ballots in the mail, right? It is easy, unless you're experiencing homelessness and don't have a mailbox. It's really pretty easy. So if you put everything in each, and you're probably better at this communication wise than I am, but I almost think you need a couple of scripts, but with some key takeaways on what to do. So, the less experienced people, who are often younger, but not always, they're older people, less experienced, kind of know what to do. I mean, if you haven't voted in 20 years, voting's changed a lot.
Yeah.
Right. It used to be a much harder process, waiting in lines and, driving somewhere. It is very easy. And I don't know if it's online. I want to make sure, but I know it's mail based, right? I know we can do everything by
Yeah,
mail.
I think you can do it online now, but I don't know, because you have to show proof. By the way, Baragon did not start out as a neighborhood council.
Oh, no, she didn't, but I was just thinking of.
Oh, okay. But we do have some electeds who did start out in neighborhood council, like Ron Galpin, our controller.
Yeah. And so I think, it's limiting our reach to people who are sort of locally accessible, and who will have a more direct, although to be honest, because I think he does Ted Lieu not cover some of
Not anymore.
It's changing, because Ted Lieu's been my representative, and I'm not sure if that change has already happened.
It has.
Oh,
Okay, yeah. So yeah, Baragon has all of San Pedro now. You
Okay.
also now have Al, I always pronounce this long name wrong,
Maritucci?
Maritucci, who now is the assembly member for San Pedro.
Okay. So I can reach out and, it'll be like a lot of things, a function of who gets back to me and what their availability is. But I'm kind of at this point thinking, even if I were to have, if I could get a couple of people, 2 or 3, who could give me 5 to 7 seconds, like a simple statement or a comment, and I'd have a splash with their name on it.
Yes.
That would be, so we can have one person go longer. We can have a few who just kind of, who could, like, if we have bullet points, it's like, it's easier than ever. It's your, social responsibility, whatever, and we can cut to individual people. But that's the type of thing I'm going to write up, and we'll see kind of how
Chris, I'm just thinking, is Baragon running for re-election?
Well, and that's my other thought, is that if
You
they're going to
can't
be running,
have her on there if she's running for
yeah,
re-election.
if people are up for re-election, it may or may not be, probably not
Yeah,
a good idea to do that. But I think we'll have we can have a selection of civic leaders. It may.
but what you can do is you can tell people the next ballot is a major election. Okay, you're going to be voting for, president. Well, you're not voting for president, but for governor, for one of the senators, for local council district. That you're voting for propositions that can majorly affect you. And one thing that Thomas said earlier, there is a way for people who are experiencing homelessness who do not have an address to register for vote. I believe they can use the address of Harbor Interfaith or other possibility. And that's important because they want to be advocates for housing. You
Right.
want to give them the opportunity to vote.
And I don't know if we could at least have something to say that there's a way, right? It's probably too long to explain exactly how, but to let them know there's a way that everybody gets to vote. And you run for a house every 2 years, so she probably is running. If it's a few seconds, I think, I don't know if it violates any campaign rules, but then if it's not her, and I think maybe even better would be Tanya, because then for the students, right, school board, and so the younger
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
that affects their life. So
And
maybe
and
Good
she's
idea.
relatively accessible as well. And so I think I'll kind of come up with before I reach out to anybody, I'll come up with a short list of who we might speak to. But
And Chris, you could have something on there that says, if you have any questions, contact us at.
right, and the whole
and
point
then-
of the the whole point of the video will be that if you'd like more detail about anything we brought up, go, and we'll just have a document or something on the website that they can go to. When the link especially for Instagram, the link is in the bio at all times, so that whatever it is we need to, as long as we get Christina to have it on the homepage, they just go up to the top of our ID, click on it, and they'll go right there.
And after we do this one, I'm sure we'll come up with some other topics. We eventually could do one on the neighborhood council election that's happening on April Fool's Day. So
Absolutely.
Yeah. Is it really April Fool's Day?
it is.
That.
So who says there's no poetry in the government?
Well, I'm glad you like my idea. So
Well, it's a good one. It's topical, it's timely, and again, if we wanted to, we wouldn't have time to put it into a newsletter if we wanted to, right? And an e-blast,
right.
you already have to want to read that to even have that in front of you. So this is something, hopefully, if we, dress it up nicely, it'll grab more attention than it would have otherwise.
I haven't seen anything on the news or anything about register to vote, register to vote. I'm like, why isn't this?
Well, with the
being
presidential thing, there was
publicized?
a lot of pressure from, down ballot is always important, and that's one thing I intend to mention as well, so that there's no unimportant races. But when the presidential one, that just becomes blood sport, and everybody's got a stake in it. This one is a little, and it's also politically a little bit more of a foregone conclusion, I think, in a lot of cases. So there's not quite as much hype, but it's still quite important, and we'll try and raise its profile.
Thank you.
Well, no, that's a fantastic suggestion. It's a great place to start. And I think you're right that it will, once we kind of see this thing executed, it'll give us, you'll be able to visualize how it would look with a variety of other subjects, and you're just that much closer to making them go.
And you would end it with, this is brought to you from the Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council. Contact us if you're interested in participating in fun stuff like this, or whatever,
Absolutely, no,
You would be
absolutely.
promoting us too.
Yeah. And so, and that's the whole, I think, again, that's the secondary task, is to develop greater interest in the committee and then the board.
Yeah. And let Dunn tell you that this was an unacceptable
Well,
topic. I
exactly,
would just love that.
Yeah, again,
Right.
I'm not sure what it is that they actually want us to do, but hopefully they'll be, gratified when they see us, play nice. All right, and so that also kind of incorporates number 5, which is our social media strategy. I haven't posted anything. I know there has been traffic on the Facebook page. I haven't put anything on Instagram recently, but I think I will probably come up with a graphic once we have the information finalized for the youth seat. I'll come up with a graphic there and try and figure out some ways to hashtag and get that to circulate.
Chris, on our Facebook page, yourself, myself, and Christina are the authorized people.
Right.
And John Barbera has expressed interest in also becoming an administrator. And I mentioned to him, I think that's your decision, or I don't know if it's the committee's decision or what. But if you wanted to add him, you just need to spend a little time with him explaining the do's and don'ts of social media posting. So
I think that would be worthwhile. Yeah, John. So if you're interested in that, we can have a conversation about, and it's not, it's not rocket science, but it's
No, of course not. Yeah.
basically just kind of stay in the middle of the road and you'll be safe.
Yeah. So maybe we can have, in the next day or two, we can have a.
Yeah.
When you got a minute, we can talk.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. All right. Well, then before we get to item 6, I guess I could put another call for any public comment on non-agenda items or wrap up on anything we've discussed
make
previously.
sure in your meeting minutes, you don't write next meeting September 26th or whatever, because we don't know.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, we will. And what I'm doing is just going back to the recording. I'm not trying to take the notes real time, especially today. I'm running around in circles, but I go back to the recording just to kind of get it more concise.
I mean, I would just say that there was a nice turnout for the grand opening of the skate park yesterday.
Oh,
And
Yeah, that was good.
Yes. And I do have, that
we
also
were-
might be
we
a
were-
video.
yeah, there were at least 5 or 6 of us from the board. Myself, Angela, Chris, Ray was there, Dan was there, and Craig Goldfarb was there,
And
yeah.
Melanie.
And Melanie, yes. John,
and
by-
Melanie.
thank you so much for keeping this kind of on the front burner with issues, because this is something, like near and dear to my heart, but I have not spent as much time or energy as I should have on this over the years. And so I'm very glad that on the issues committee side of it, you guys kept it high profile. But I did took pictures, I shot some video. And so I think there's probably enough content to, for something to acknowledge that as well. Again, video of people skateboarding it's the type of thing that gets attention. It's the sort of thing that we just want to, it's a win for literally everybody involved. And so we definitely need to talk that up.
Chris, I
I-
mentioned, go ahead, John. I was gonna
I
add to you.
have some photos that I'll send you that with my phone, they took of all of us on the podium. We
Oh,
were
good.
looking for you, but we couldn't find you.
I was probably, yeah, once you get up on top of the ramp, it's very difficult to get down unless you have a skateboard. So you have
Yeah,
an
yeah.
opportunity.
And
And
so
then-
we were on the podium and behind us was the Channel Street Skate Park
Yeah,
on that wall where, where they held where they were talking and all that, where they had their boot, right? So we all stood there and we all took a picture. It was really nice. I got about a couple of, they took 4, 5, 6 shots of it. I'll send them to you.
cool.
But and most of them, I think you got them on text. I thought I sent them to you guys.
I got them.
Yeah, you should have got it, Chris. I sent it to you, I think, on a text.
I got it.
Or maybe I didn't. Maybe I didn't because I couldn't find you, but I'll send them to you.
Yeah, send it to me and I'll
And you can take which photo you think is nice and,
So Chris, what I suggest, and I talked to John about this, is you make this a couple of week campaign. So you have different posts. You have one with the great pictures he took of the group of you that are there, and you promote, hey, the Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council was instrumental in getting this done after many years, and you have a post there. You have some pictures of the skateboarders and maybe a quote from Andy. Then you have a picture of some of the great murals, and you have information on who the artists were that participated. You also include links, and John was going to double check, to the website for the skate park that has the skate park hours and what the rules are
Right.
there. So
No,
you
you're
could get like you could milk this for a whole bunch of
a
posts.
lot of mileage. Well, because
Yeah.
in addition to Peck Park, which is pretty well established and very popular, this is new and it's hot and it is very much Northwest's thing. So we should be squeezing all the juice out of it we can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll talk to Andy here probably tomorrow and get as much information as I can from him. I'll get some information from April Jones,
Yeah.
and
Get a quote from them,
take-
John. Get
Okay.
a quote from them about how they felt about the grand opening, and you could use
Okay.
that in the
Yeah. So I'll get all that, and we'll, maybe you and I can sit down and combine and everything and,
Yeah.
go through it. And then like Lori said, we'll separate it. We'll do this segment here. And then in 3-4 days, we'll put another segment and then another, make it a month's worth of
Yeah,
stuff,
I think they'll be playing again. It's a sort of thing people are going to want to watch.
Yeah.
I think
Chris,
I know.
do you have the data on the and Christina used to have this, the best times of day and which days of the week you get the most hits when we post on our Facebook page, so that you can create these and schedule them for those optimum viewing times.
I thinking more in terms of Instagram, and what I normally do means that it mirrors to Facebook. I don't know if there are different times, but I know it's usually like about 8 in the morning and about 6 in the evening. That is right before people leave and right after they get home. But that may or may not be entirely, like dialed in. So I'm going to see, I'm going to do a little bit more research and see. But usually it's kind of like first thing or early evening. But that's usually when I try and post my own personal.
It should be in our analytics for our Facebook page. I would
Yeah,
think.
well, that will definitely tell us, like, regardless of whether we're posting at the right time, it'll tell us when people are looking. And so I'll dig into that a little bit more for the update for next month.
Cool beans.
All right, folks. Well, unless there are any objections, I'm going to go ahead and call for adjournment. Everybody
Stop the
good?
recording.
Thanks. Oh, I'll stop the recording. Thanks very much. This, in spite of scrambling, this was a very productive meeting, and I think we'll have a lot of stuff to follow up on next month, whenever that is. But I have not yet heard back from Ray, but I will update you if and when, I'm sure.
I'll
I'm sorry.
proceed with creating the the registration, but won't open it up until we know for sure.
Actually, I was looking in the wrong, this is, the computer does not make everything easier. He did respond. He said, as chair, you can do what you deem necessary and or appropriate, given the circumstances. You may want to pose the question to your committee members to see if you can meet quorum. So I think the 30th
We
works.
did that.
So I'll update in the minutes, I'll update the date, and I'll let Christina know. We're looking at Friday the 30th at 5:30.
Okay.
Sounds
Thank you,
good.
everyone.
And
Thank
I
you.
know we're being sent the new link with the right number, but try to make sure that for the public that the right number is in the agenda and the website too.
Yes, I will copy that off of the website right now and update my template.
Yeah, but the one on the website, Chris,
the
Yeah,
one on the website is wrong. That
the
one,
one on the website is wrong.
Angela, which one did you use to get in?
I used the one in my email.
Oh, the
Yeah.
I
user-
tried
Yeah.
with an older email first and that didn't work. So I tried with the newer email and got right in. Well, once the meeting started. But when we were here, I tried to access the other one from my phone and I got in.
Okay,
Well,
what,
Chris,
here's
Thomas,
what I
Chris
did.
said that if you went to the agenda on the website, it didn't work. But if you just, Chris, if you go back to your other screen, if you just click on join the meeting, it worked.
nope, it doesn't. And look,
No,
it's
it doesn't. He
number. It's
tried to do it.
458.
Oh,
So what I want you to know is that the little green shield you see in the upper left, if you click on that, that's the actual meeting number, which
Yeah.
ends 9259. So it's got to be fixed on the website and the agenda.
Okay.
Is that,
So do you know how to find that? It's where it says recording. You see where it says recording, there's a little green shield. If you click on that, that's the meeting information for the session.
oh, I'm sorry, over here.
That's the way I can get in as I'd have John read
top
that. out.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
the top left.
very small. Yeah, it's actually in a different,
You know, Chris, that brings something else that you didn't put on the agenda. We talked about assigning 1 or 2 people to review our website page, you know, like once a week to make sure stuff is still current when things are over to, you know, because I just don't have the time to do that anymore.
yeah,
Yes.
understood. Yeah,
And one of the things people can do is test links, I guess.
yeah.
Well, here's what I did. I told Thomas, I gotta talk to Vic after this because of something else. But I will tell him to send everybody on the youth and outreach again, the 5-6 month that he sent before.
All right, well, mine
Yeah.
worked, but can we make it a policy that we open committee meetings and the board meetings too, 10 minutes before the start time? So if there's any guffaws or any issues or whatever, we can work through them and people can start on time. Is that?
Yeah, or even like Chris, if you send me a text and say, hey, John, I'm gonna be a little behind. And I'll get it set up with Vic real quick, like I did now.
Yeah, I'm
I
actually,
gotta go, guys. I'll see you soon.
Okay, bye,
Okay,
Kelly.
bye,
Bye,
Kelly.
guys.
I'm actually editing the agenda template right now, just to make sure.
But Chris, is it possible to start meetings at least 10 minutes before the start time?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
When you don't have police activity in your
Well,
neighborhood?
and that's a good idea because I guess we're never going to have a better system for the login than we do now, which means that unless, yeah, so I'm always gonna have to switch back and forth with logins. And so there's only one that can start the meeting. And so I'm always gonna have to log out personally and then log back in as Vic. So that's worth 10 minutes easy. So yes,
Unless they let us back in our building eventually.
right. Yeah, and who
Okay,
knows,
we can't even talk about that.
right. So
Okay,
thanks, everyone. The agenda is actually officially updated as of right now.
okay, I'm leaving because I got to go start working on this form. Bye.
Okay.
Good
Bye.
night.
Don't forget, stop recording.
Yes, where are those controls? All over the place. Stop share and stop recording.